Hey, did you know there's a place in Virginia where people whisper about a man in a bunny suit? Not the fluffy Easter kind, one that carries an axe. This is the legend of the Bunny Man of Fairfax County. Happy Halloween, everybody, and welcome to Hey Did You Know, where we dig up the weird, the forgotten, and the downright strange corners of America. I've got a real treat for you today. This is a story that as soon as I seen it, I had to tell it. I want to do a special episode for Halloween just to put this story in the podcast. I obviously could have did it next month, but it just fits so well. So let's get started. The story goes like this. In 1904, an asylum near Clifton, Virginia, closed its doors because a lot of the people that lived around it weren't exactly thrilled about having a mental institution so close to their homes. Eventually, the town pulled together and pushed to have the place shut down, and when that happened, of course, all the patients had to have been moved to a new location. So, one night, a bus was loaded up with patients, and it was making its trip to the Lorton Reformatory over in the neighboring town. The route took them across a bridge on Colchester Road in Fairfax County, but somewhere along the way things ended up going wrong, of course, because we're telling this story. The bus lost control and it crashed, and the patients saw their chance and they wasted no time to scramble out of the bus and vanish into the woods. Unfortunately for them, local authorities were able to capture all of the inmates except for two of them, and that's where the story gets really interesting. So, we have Marcus Walster and Douglas Grifton. They were the only two that were unaccounted for, and the police searched, and during their frantic search for the men, the police stumbled across something bizarre. In the woods, they found half-eaten remains of nearly a dozen rabbits scattered all about, and not long after, they found Marcus's body at a nearby railway bridge, and the bridge would become called the Bunnyman Bridge. But our story doesn't end there, of course, because why else would we be here? About a year later, on Halloween night, a group of kids went out to the bridge, maybe looking for a scare, who knows? They just wanted to see if they would end up finding the Bunny Man. Well, they never came home that night. The next morning, their bodies were supposedly found hanging from that same bridge that they were at on Halloween night. They were hacked apart, mutilated, by what looked to be the blade of a hatchet. And so the legend grew, and they say if you visit the bridge on Halloween night, you'll meet the same fate as those kids. There was another version of the story where officials found Douglas Grifton, and he nearly slipped away again, but he ended up being struck by a train right near the spot where the original transport bus had crashed. In that version, it was revealed that Grifton had actually been put into the asylum because he had murdered his own family, ironically, on Easter Sunday. Now, I don't know too much about that version of the story. I didn't research that too much. I just happened to see that while I was reading some other things. But just like any other good urban legend, the Bunny Man story was built on a little bit of truth. So let's put the folklore aside just for a moment, and let's get into the real story that added to the legend of the Bunny Man. So, in 1970, October 18th, the first incident was reported. A U.S. Air Force Academy cadet named Robert Bennett and his fiancée, they were out visiting relatives, and around midnight they were returning from a football game, and they parked their car in a field because that's what you would do in the 70s, you just hang out wherever. And they said that they were just visiting an uncle who lived across the street from where the car was parked. So they were sitting in the front seat of the time, Bennett and his fiancée, and they noticed something moving outside the rear window, and moments later, the front passenger window was smashed, and there was a white figure standing there on the other side of the broken window. So of course, Bennett started the car, he got out of there, but while he was turning the car around, he heard the man screaming, "You're on private property!" And as they drove down the road, they happened to discover a hatchet on the car floor. So when the police requested a description of the man from Bennett, after he went to the police, of course, he insisted that the man was wearing a white suit with long bunny ears, although his fiancée, she told a little bit different of a story. She said that the man was not wearing bunny ears on his head, but he was wearing a white pointed hood of some sort, and for whatever reason, the police returned the hatchet back to Bennett after he had finished with it, so I guess it really wasn't that much of any kind of important evidence to begin with. Just a few days later, October 29th of the same year, the second sighting happened when a construction security guard named Paul Phillips approached a man standing on a porch of an unfinished home, just on the same street actually, Kings Park West and Guinea Road. So the other one happened in a field on Guinea Road. So a little bit down the street, there's an unfinished house, and now the bunny man is down there bothering Paul Phillips. After this second sighting, of course, that's when things started ramping up. It kept growing and kept growing. The bunny man became a piece of Virginia folklore, blending fact and fiction until nobody knew where the truth ended. Phillips went on to say to the police that the man was wearing a gray, black, and white bunny costume, which is a little bit different than what we've heard from Bennett. He just said it was a white suit with bunny ears, or if you go off of his fiance's description, a hooded figure. Although Phillips got a little bit better of a description of him, he was a security guard, so it's kind of his job to be kind of descriptive about things. He said that the figure was about 20 years old, stood 5 feet 8 inches tall, and weighed around 170 pounds. He went on to say that the man began chopping at a porch post with a long-handed axe. So I guess he somehow got a new axe after terrorizing Bennett and his fiancée a couple days earlier. But he said, "You're trespassing. If you come any closer, I'll chop your head off." That's what he told Phillips. So I dug a little bit deeper. I've read a lot of different articles. And apparently there was actual news articles released at the time. And the Fairfax County Police Department had no official record of the October 18th assault with Robert Bennett and his fiancée, but they do have an investigation report relating to the October 29th vandalism accident. They reported that at 10:30 p.m. on October 29th, 1970, 6 officers responded to 5307 Guinea Road for a, quote, subject dressed in a rabbit suit with an axe, end quote. But, of course, once they arrived, the officers found no evidence of a man with an axe, or any rabbits for that matter. So, after all these years, why are we still hearing the story of the bunny man? Well, one thing I say, who doesn't love a good urban legend? A little story to tell at night before you go to bed, or if you're out camping, or what have you. Just a little scary story to tell your friends when the night's getting a little boring. But the legend of the bunny man also got a little bit of a boost in 2001 from the media when a television show called The Scariest Places on Earth featured the story in its second season, which definitely helped put the bridge on the map. After that, more and more people started showing up to see it for themselves, maybe hoping to catch a glimpse of the bunny man or just say they survived the visit. Around the same time, the movie Donnie Darko hit theaters. I don't really know if there's much of a connection to Donnie Darko and the bunny man story. I've never actually seen the movie. Don't judge me. Never seen it still to this day. But it's hard not to wonder because a giant creepy rabbit, they're set in Virginia, and maybe the director did have a little bit of an influence there. Who knows? Again, I've never seen the movie. Maybe I should go watch it tonight. And that is the story of the bunny man. Creepy bridges, escaped patients, hatchet-wielding killers in bunny suits. And honestly, while I was reading this story, while I was doing all the research and trying to put this together, it made me think of way back in 2016. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. The infamous clown sightings. Remember that? Huh? Remember that? In August of 2016, reports began to surface of clown sightings in Greenville County, South Carolina, and even Winston-Salem, South Carolina, and those really creepy pictures downtown Green Bay that went viral of the bunny holding the 3 balloons. You guys remember what I'm talking about. It was a really crazy time for everybody. Everybody was seeing clowns when they were driving down the street. It even, I think, bled in the TikTok for a little while. Maybe it was Vine, I don't remember, but I remember all the videos of people driving down the street and they were seeing clowns on the road and they were trying to run them over and that type of stuff. Turns out, after I looked into that a little bit more, because in 2016 I was only 18, didn't really look into it that much, didn't really do too much research like I do now, but it turns out that it was a marketing stunt for a short film called Gags, which was eventually turned into a feature film that was released in 2018, only in a couple of theaters, and eventually went to video on demand. So I don't know how big of a film that was. Never heard of it until today. Well, today being the day that I'm recording this, but yeah, I don't really know too much about it. If you've heard of it, let me know. Send me a message. Say, hey, I've seen this movie. If you haven't, still send me a message. Say, hey, never seen that movie. I'm gonna go watch it. If you want to, that is. But back to the Bunny Man. In the end, he never actually was a murderer. If you believe the only police reports that they have, he was truly only guilty of vandalism. So really, if you go visit him on Halloween, the worst you might get is a bashed in car window, or maybe he'll chop a tree down or something. I don't know, he just seems like to chop stuff. But to this day, tourists, paranormal investigators, and thrill seekers, of course, still try to visit this bridge every Halloween. But I read somewhere that they were turning away people. I guess in 2011, allegedly over 200 people tried to go to it, and they set up a 14-hour checkpoint where they were just turning people away from visiting the bridge. So if you guys decide to go visit the bridge, let me know. Use a hashtag, something like, hey, did you know I went to go visit the bridge? I don't know, something like that. But don't stay too long, because you never know who or what might be watching. And that's all I got for you guys. I know these episodes are kind of small. It's supposed to be a podcast. You get a lot of time out of them. But this is my first one-man podcast, and I'm doing my best. So I hope you guys are enjoying. But I just want to say, happy Halloween. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, a wonderful and safe evening. If you see any bunnies, run away from them. If you see any clowns, run away from them. And I want to say thank you for listening to another episode of Hey Did You Know? And if you enjoyed this, as I always say, friends, please share this episode with a friend, and don't forget to follow wherever you're listening at so you never miss the next strange and unbelievable story. Goodbye, everybody.